Concealed Wisconsin Podcast, Episode 4. Welcome to Concealed Wisconsin, a podcast about guns, Wisconsin, and you. Today is October 22nd, 2011, and we're going to be on location at the 3rd Annual Open Carry Tea Party event in Hudson, Wisconsin. We're going to talk to a number of individuals at the event, including attendees and some of the leaders and vendors, to find out what they think about Wisconsin's new concealed carry law. My name is Andy, and I'll be the host of Concealed Wisconsin, and I want to thank you for tuning in to today's show. If you're new to podcasting, let me tell you quickly what it's about and how it can benefit you. Podcasting is an awful lot like a radio program, except it's a broadcast over the internet, and it's available to you anytime during the day or night, and you can subscribe to it so that you always get the latest content whenever it's available. As I said earlier, today is October 22nd, and we are only 10 days away from having a concealed carry law in place in Wisconsin. Now, I realize that some listeners may be listening to this after the November 1st date, but at this point, we're still pretty excited that we finally will have the ability to exercise our Second Amendment's rights in Wisconsin. If you're looking for the most up-to-date rules on concealed carry and the Act 35, you can check out our show notes for a link to the Department of Justice's website. The final current version of the rules directly from the DOJ are now out and available for your reference. Well, all right, let's get down to the Open Carry Tea Party event in Hudson, Wisconsin. Welcome to another episode of Concealed Wisconsin. This is Andy, and we are live at the Open Carry Picnic in Hudson, Wisconsin. This is a tea party event for open carriers, and we are just now listening to as many speakers as are on the stage. We're going to be talking to some of them shortly, and we just are looking forward to hearing their opinions as well as opinions of the people that are inside the crowd. It's a beautiful day here in Hudson, Wisconsin, so let's take a few minutes to get out there and go and talk to some people in the crowd and see what their opinions are. All right, and for my first interview of the day, I am going to be talking to someone that represents a concealed carry class. And Megan, why don't you tell me a little bit about the differences between concealed carry classes that you're representing versus hunter safety, and how it really benefits people who, even though they have that hunter safety, maybe they would want to consider taking the class. What are they going to learn that they're not going to get in a hunter safety class, and why would you recommend that?
Well, the first thing that they're definitely going to learn about Bob Amy's class is how to handle yourself in a situation or handle the situation in itself. With the hunter safety, you just kind of learn about the safety precautions of using a gun, but they don't teach you in a hunter safety class how to handle yourself, who to contact if you do need help, and it's even great for females as well who sometimes are very hesitant about taking a class. And knowing, I just recently took the class, so having all of that, experience underneath my belt and knowing what I know now, I'm more confident in what I'm going to be doing and going forth with.
Do they deal with any of the legal issues if you have to use a gun, for instance? There was just an incident yesterday in Minneapolis where someone used their gun, and there's a lot of questions as to, is that person liable? Did he break the law? Is he a vigilante? They're throwing out a lot of terms like that. How much does he spend talking about that kind of thing, which you're not going to get in a hunter safety class?
Well, the class is actually about 8 hours long, so for a good hour or so, it does deal with any type of legal situation, when to use your gun and when not to. It also does handles the legal aspects of who would you want to contact if something like that should happen. They have a lot of scenario DVDs. They have a real police officer that's on video as well, talking to you and, giving you the understanding of when not to talk to a police officer. But, it really helped me in the aspect of, I know when, a good time is to pull my gun or when I should think about the situation first.
And what is your advice for someone who is in a confrontation like that and they have to pull their gun? Who's the first call they should make their call to?
Well, they always say sometimes you want to call your lawyer, but by talking to a lot of people that they have had the situation, call one of your family members first who may be able to contact your lawyer if he can't answer the phone right away. But with Bob's class too, he also gives you information on good lawyers if you need to speak with anyone, but they always advise you do not say anything to the police officers because they can construe anything that you say, but you have a right to protect yourself.
Right, and it may seem counterintuitive to do that, but again, they're not there to make sure that you're innocent. They're not there to prove your innocence. They're building a case against you as the person who shot someone, and so anything you say can and will be used against you. You hear that a lot, and it's true. So that's a great thing. So this class is a Minnesota permit to carry class, but it is also a certified training for Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Utah, and Florida. And it is located in the Hudson area. So we're going to just give a plug since you were nice enough to do an interview. It's Bob Amy is the lead instructor. And if you want to get in contact with him, you can go to minnesotapermittocarrytraining.com. All right, well, I'm standing here with Jim Burgess, and he is a member of the board for Wisconsin Carry. And I want to welcome you to Concealed Wisconsin. And I just want to get your take on the current state of the Wisconsin concealed carry law and what your thoughts are on that.
Well, obviously, we're not extremely pleased, as many people aren't, because our organization fought for constitutional carry. But as a first step, personally, I believe it to be very good. It's one of the better laws in the country. And come November 1st, when all of us can carry in our cars, permit or not, things are going to be, there's going to be a lot more liberty in Wisconsin than there was. So while it's not perfect, it's a great first step, and we know we have our work cut out for us, but we truly believe that eventually we will get to constitutional carry in this state.
And tell me, what exactly does it mean when you say you can carry in your car without a permit? What are the restrictions on that?
Yeah, that's a little bit of a gray area yet. The Department of Justice has come out and said that due to a prior lower court ruling, without a permit, you couldn't carry in a hip holster in your car because it would be considered concealed at that point. And so what they're saying is that you'd have to take your gun out of the holster, lay it on the front seat, or put it up on the dash so that it was plainly visible. And, nobody knows how that's going to work out, probably till somebody gets arrested and it gets into court again. And I have a feeling that, personally, that if that got all the way to the Supreme Court, the Wisconsin Supreme Court would probably get shot down.
So at this point on November 1st, if some people are not going to choose to get that permit for whatever reason, some people will, some people won't, they can still open carry and have that gun in their car loaded as long as it's not concealed. And for many people, that might satisfy the need to be able to just transport it without having to box and unload. And that really, I've always thought that was dumb because it's such a dangerous practice. What are your thoughts on that?
No, absolutely. We've been opposed to this all along. I mean, it's created a huge amount of unnecessary gun handling. The only thing is, if you choose not to get a permit and you're going to open carry in your vehicle, that the school zone law is still in effect. Now, they changed it. It's no longer a state felony. It goes to a Class B forfeiture fine. There's no criminal charges. However, without a permit, it's still a federal felony. Now, the federal government hasn't prosecuted anybody for being in a school zone.
And the school zone, again, is 1,000 feet from a school, which means if you're driving anywhere in a city that has more than a couple schools, you're very likely to drive in a street that runs across a school zone, so you're putting yourself in jeopardy. Now, you would have to be pulled over, and they would have to find the gun, and it's highly unlikely possibly, but it's not impossible, and you don't want to be facing a federal crime.
That's exactly right. You don't want to be the test case, and so I would advise everybody to go ahead and get a permit and just be as legal as you can, and so you don't have to worry about that. And like you say, sometimes even on the interstate you drive right by a school,
right.
And you could possibly be prosecuted if you run into an FBI agent who's having a bad day.
Right. Jim, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk with me. If you want more information on Wisconsin Carry, you can go to wisconsincarry.org. It's a very inexpensive membership. I think it's $15 is what I paid, and it's definitely worth it to stay up on top of the open carry, the concealed carry, and everything else that's going on inside of Wisconsin. So thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
All right, I'm standing here with Warren Petrick. He is the assembly person from Eau Claire, in the southern part of Eau Claire, in the 93rd District. And he just got off the stage not too long ago. He was rearing up the crowd, talking about concealed carry. And maybe you could give just a little synopsis of what you talked about, and tell us, what it was like to go through that process with the vote, and any background type stuff, whatever you want to talk about.
Sure. I grew up in a family of outdoors people, and my father was actually the first ever hunter safety instructor in the state. He helped develop the curriculum for hunter safety, so my hunter safety card number is 6, and I think about 600,000 or more have gone through. I'm not sure of those numbers, but a lot of folks have gone through that. I'm sure you did, and everyone else, which is fantastic. But I early on was impressed upon the fact that we need to defend our Second Amendment rights. And so as a NRA member and a proud outdoorsman, I was very happy to see that we finally made some progress. After years of bringing it forth with the work of Dave Zine and many other pioneers trying to get a concealed carry, we finally got it done. Now we are presently engaged in a legal battle, basically, of what the law will look like as it unrolls. I do believe that November 1st we will still have the law in place, but now what the Attorney General has decided to do is promulgate a rule which requires a training element of 4 hours, I believe it is, and the document must be signed by the trainer. Now that changes the original intent of what I signed, but I did bring up in caucus the fact that this may be open to interpretation. So I was very concerned with it at the time. I was told by those that my leadership that it would be taken care of, and obviously it seems obvious to me from a freshman's perspective that not a lot of conversation went on perhaps between the Attorney General's office, the Governor's office, the NRA, and the Assembly. So I'm disappointed by that, and I did sign a letter along with a couple dozen of my colleagues in the Assembly Republican caucus. We sent the letter to J.B. Van Hollen saying that this wasn't our intent. He came back with a very eloquent letter basically stating that he's doing his job. And I truly believe that J.B. is an honorable man, and he really wants this to go through. He had to, as I told the crowd here today, he had to put some flesh on the bone of the law. And we did leave it open enough to interpretation that I think he's doing what he thought he had to do to protect the public as the Attorney General. Now, is that his personal feelings? No, I don't believe it is. And he made that rather clear in the letter that I'd like to share with your listeners, but I'd have to read it in its entirety. But that is public document, so anybody who wants the information on how he responded to our letter or how he responded to the NRA, I'd be glad to get that information for your listeners.
Sure. Now, the original intent you spoke of, obviously there was a minimal training requirement with the hunter safety with the DNR. What was the original intent other than that for a person who did not have hunter safety? For instance, for me, I started hunting when I was in my 30s, and so I took a class with a bunch of kids that were 12 years old and had to sit through that because my birth date was a couple years later than the cutoff date. For those people, or for people who never had to take hunter safety because they met that cutoff date, what was the intent for getting training? Because there was a training element in there, it just wasn't clear.
And that was my problem with the bill, was that it wasn't clear. And I think that's what J.B. Van Hollen's gripe is, that it wasn't clear enough to him, so he just made it so that you have to have 4 hours plus the signature. Is it unreasonable? Perhaps not. I mean, I don't feel that a training element was unreasonable. And most of my constituents that I spoke to had no problem with it, but we did not intend it to go that far. So the original intent was that if you had the hunter's training or hunter's safety certificate, that was good enough. If you had any amount of training, we didn't put an hour requirement on it. JB disagreed. He felt that we had to put that in, and he basically called us on it. And I'll take the blame along with the rest of us that voted for it, thinking that we had it handled. But again, a lawyer's interpretation of the wording is totally different sometimes than ours. So shame on us, I guess, for not taking care of every detail. But that's unfortunately the way the legislature works sometimes. We pass a law, it isn't perfect, and then we need to tweak it. And that's what will happen. I can guarantee you that this process is not over, that this will go through the process again. It'll probably end up back on the floor, and we will interpret it the way that we originally wanted to. Whether we'll get everything we want remains to be seen. But I know that the governor wants this to be right, and we'll try to do it right the second time here, since we didn't get it right the first time in JB's opinion. But we will try much harder to, I think, get everybody at the table. That would be my goal. I thought that they all should have sat down. All the interested parties should have made sure that going forward, this is the wording we want, and it is absolutely clear to everyone.
Right.
So that's my personal feeling.
Yeah, and I think loophole is something that we are very aware of in politics, that loopholes are killers for things, and that's a pretty obvious loophole for that. And unfortunately, I think training is important, but I think people are mature enough, hopefully, to get that themselves, and we don't need one more government mandate to tell us how to do things. But I went through Minnesota's training, and, man, I tell you, it was really helpful. And so I encourage people, even if they don't like to hear it, I encourage people to get out there and get trained. There's legal ramifications that you maybe won't understand if you just think that you can just carry a gun and it's no big deal. People will use their gun and end up in jail thinking they were justified because they have a right, when in reality they have no idea that they just broke a law. So you got to know that.
I often bring up to constituents that think rather flippantly of the law. I said, when you draw that weapon, your life changes. Absolutely. Immediately, whether you pull that trigger or not. Yeah. If you touch that gun and bring it out of its holster, your life will change forever. And that's the law of the land now, and you'd best be prepared to defend yourself and know your justification for that action. So it's going to be very difficult to get the right training. I think I certainly personally would have gotten the right training. I would have gone through the course. I will go through the course. I mean, I'm not going to do it just on the basis of my hunter safety course, which was so many years ago we won't even mention.
Right. But, number 6.
Yeah, put that in perspective. I think it was 1960. Yeah, whatever. So that has nothing to do with handling a deadly weapon.
Right, and they make that clear. They make that very clear.
Yes, very clear. And so I really applaud those that train and work together with the groups that are making this happen. So I'm very, very happy that there are people that are excited to train the rest of us so that we will know what to do and how to handle ourselves.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Assemblyman from 93rd. Is this your first year? You said freshman?
Yes, sir. I've never been in politics ever. I made a run for Senate back in 94, and it was interesting when I pulled out my original speeches from 94, the issues hadn't changed at all. And of course, concealed carry was, we're trying to get it done at that time. It didn't happen. So I'm elated that we've made as much progress as we have.
Well, thank you and congratulations. Thanks for your service. We definitely appreciate it, and we need more people like yourself.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
All right, now I'm standing here with Martin Hill, who is an instructor with the Project Appleseed, and I'm going to have him talk a little bit about this program, which focuses on not only marksmanship with a rifle, but the heritage and the history of this great country. Why don't you take us down a path here, Martin? Tell me a little bit about your organization and what you guys hope to accomplish.
We are a nonprofit organization. We teach rifle marksmanship and American history. Rifle marksmanship is based on principles that have been around since the 1900s. They're proven principles. All the shooting is done at 25 meters. The vast majority of people use Ruger 1022s or something like that. The history deals specifically with April 19th, 1775, which is the Battle of Lexington and Concord. A lot of people are beginning to forget these great people that brought us liberty. And we don't want anybody to forget what happened on that day. These people sacrificed enormously for what we have, and they are quickly being forgotten because of time that's passing by, and in some ways people just don't want to remember that. So our goal is to get as many people as possible to come to our classes. We teach the rifle marksmanship, but Also, if necessary, we'll go to little organizations or meetings with people, and we can just teach the American history aspect of it. So I encourage people to go to our website, www.appleseedusa.org. Visit, see what's going on. If you know of a range that would like to partner with us to conduct a class, we are more than willing to discuss it. Of course, we have to look at the safety aspects of it because safety is our job number one. So, yeah.
And where are you located out of?
Actually, we are nationwide. We do shoots all over Wisconsin. Right this weekend, we do have instructors up in Shawano, Wisconsin. They're teaching a class right now. We just had a shoot in Spooner last weekend. Me and a couple other instructors that are up here in northwest Wisconsin. We have had shoots in River Falls, Boyceville, Colfax, Menominee, Rice Lake, all over the place here. And we're looking to expand in northwest Wisconsin and all Wisconsin-wide, too. We want everybody to come and have a good time at this. And I can guarantee you, when you do come to our shoots, you're going to have a good time because I've never had anybody, and there are some students here that have been through my shoots. I've never had anybody that did not have a great time burning about 500 or 600 rounds on a weekend.
All right. Well, hey, thanks a lot, Martin, for your time. If you want to check out more about Project Appleseed, I encourage you to go to appleseedusa.org and check out all that information. And it sounds like you're a mobile unit. You'll go where the action is. So appreciate that, and we love teaching American history. We need more of that, especially in our schools. So thanks a lot for your time. All right, I'm standing with Tom Irwin, and he's here with the NRA, and so I'm at his table. And I was just wondering, Tom, if you could tell me a little bit about what you're doing here at this event and what the NRA is excited about in Wisconsin.
Well, what we're doing here is I chair the local Friends of the NRA fundraising group. And so every year we do a fundraiser in September up at the Valley House, and we have events like this that we can come to where we know that people that are Second Amendment supporters, we come and we sell memberships, we sell informational, educational material, and anything that we sell, any profits like the hats, the holsters for Wisconsin open carry that we're selling today, all those profits go back to Friends of the NRA.
Nice. And are you signing people up for membership to the NRA, or is this just the fundraising portion?
This is the fundraising portion.
And if people want to do some fundraising with you, how would they get in contact with your organization? Do you have a website?
Yes, you could go to Y-Force, which is the Y-Force is the state arm of the National Rifle Association, and through that website you will find banquet events, and that will you'll find your way to Hudson, the Hudson event through that website.
Okay, and can they get there from friendsofthenra.org, which is on your banner above you?
Yes, they can.
All right, absolutely fantastic. Thanks for being a part here and for all the efforts you put forward with Second Amendment rights. We appreciate the NRA, and we always endorse that and ask people to become a member. So we appreciate your time and the effort you put out today.
Okay, thank you. We feel the same about you.
All right, so I'm standing here with Elizabeth Nelson and her friend Joni, who's a little bit nervous of being on a podcast, but I want to talk to someone who was not on stage and just attending, who came out here. Tell me, what did you come out to this event to find out or to experience or to support?
I support the Tea Party. I support Second Amendment rights, and I support the Constitution.
Okay. And what did you think about the program and the speakers? What were your thoughts on them?
I like the program a lot. I think we have had probably better speakers who talked more about the situation of, although the bill was passed, we're happy with it. I could have sat here for another hour and listened to speakers. I wish there were more.
Absolutely. And now tell me, I don't mean to pry, but nobody knows who you are. So are you a Second Amendment supporter that carries a gun or will carry a gun?
No, I don't. I have a gun, but I wouldn't carry it. I don't go to places where I would want to, have to carry a gun. I'm 78 years old, and but I know how to use my gun, and I have it. It's in a locked box in my house.
So if you were at home and someone were to break in, look out.
I wouldn't even say that. I'm not sure about that.
Okay. Well, if you're, it's one of those things that hopefully you'll never need to use, but the 1 in a million chance that it happens, you definitely want to be able to know how to load it and use it and shoot straight, I guess.
I would shoot somebody if there was a threat to, say, my grandchildren. Then I would use it without hesitation. As far as some other things, I'm not sure about that.
But you're here in support of the Second Amendment, and you have no problems with other people that want to carry a gun for self-defense?
Absolutely. I support that totally.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, ladies, for being here and supporting the Second Amendment, and we wish you the best. Okay, and I'm standing with John and Patricia, and they were attendees at today's function here in Hudson. They're wearing Second Amendment sweatshirts, and it looks like you got the snake pin on there for Don't Tread on Me. So I'm assuming that you're here in support of the Second Amendment rather than the people up on the hill that are protesting this event of Second Amendment people. And it looks like you also have some guns on your hips. So we're on a good start. Tell me, why did you come to this event, and what did you expect to get out of it, and were you satisfied with what you heard?
Well, first of all, I was satisfied. We've been to several of these events. The primary reason to come is we are believers in our Constitution, and we're here to support the Second Amendment, which really is as important as supporting the First Amendment. So we come in support of the groups that are trying to get the legislative action to give us the rights back to concealed carry. That's our primary purpose. The open carry law in Wisconsin is fine, but in reality, if you walk down the street with a gun on your hip, I think you're going to ask for problems. Concealed carry gives you the right for personal defense, which is the primary reason for me to carry a weapon.
And Patricia, tell me, as a woman, how is the idea of carrying a gun important to you?
Well, for me, it's personal protection. I want to be able to protect myself and anyone else who I'm with, my children or my grandchildren. And women are attacked a lot, as you can read or the paper or TV, that we really need to self-protect. And by learning how to use a gun properly, safely, and within the law, I don't see anything wrong with it, and I think it's actually a duty that we can self-protect.
And will you, I assume the answer is yes, but will you both be getting your concealed carry permit and be actively carrying?
That's the plan. Yeah,
That's
right.
the plan?
I'm a concealed carrier for Minnesota, Utah now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, of course, that training should work for Wisconsin, so you won't have to redo that. What's your thoughts on the training issue? I know that's been a heated topic within some groups. Some groups are for it, some groups are very much against it. What are your thoughts on the training, whether it's mandatory or not?
I see both sides. I do believe that you shouldn't carry unless you're really trained. However, I am against the mandatory because I'm a true believer in concealed carry, or a constitutional carry. But we will take training. Even though I could use my training from previous courses, and so could Patty. We're both planning on taking the current training that Wisconsin requires.
Okay. Any other thoughts on why you would encourage others to take a look at carrying a gun for concealed for self-protection or anything like that?
It's always interesting, the fact that the police are there for protection, but they're not required to protect you as an individual. I always like the line that comes out of the training that when seconds count, the police are only minutes away.
Well, thanks, guys, for taking the time to talk with me, and I appreciate it. And carry on.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, and now I get to interview Annette Olson, who is my favorite person that carries a gun. And she's the host, one of the hosts for this day at the park in Hudson, and her organization is Uninfringed Liberty. And tell me a little bit about the speakers and what was going on today.
Well, today we got together to discuss the right to carry. A lot of people are not as familiar with the right to carry in Wisconsin as well as in our country as we are. So we like to educate, we like to meet with people and converse with them and just let people know what it is that they need to protect. It is our inalienable right, guaranteed to us by our Constitution and our state Constitution as well. And a lot of people aren't aware of that. So we hold gatherings at various times throughout the year for the purpose of educating the citizens and getting citizens together with their legislators.
So a lot of people maybe come out because they want their individual right to carry, or they just like the idea of being able to protect themselves, but they're maybe not as knowledgeable on the fact that this is an amendment to our Constitution that gives us a right, and that's what you're really talking about. You're talking more full scope nationally, and not so much just the fact that you can carry a gun, but that we have a Constitution and that our country's not really following that. So we're at a Tea Party event today. What other things were discussed today besides just the Second Amendment?
Well, in general, we like to get together and first thank God that we live in a beautiful, wonderful country like we do. We pay homage to our founding fathers that have set up such a wonderful document for us to survive in this country. America really is a whole different environment than other countries throughout the world in that we have a document that specifically mentions our rights as individuals. And of course, with every right, then there is duty. And we need to be dutiful ourselves to protect those rights that are clearly spelled out in our Constitution. And a lot of people just haven't paid attention to that through the years. And we need to be constantly vigilant, reminding them that they need to protect it because founding fathers have died for our rights to speak, to carry a gun. In a country that takes arms away from their citizens, the country then is able to overpower the citizenry, and that is not freedom. The Second Amendment is what guarantees all the rest of our rights in our country, and if we lose that right, we will no longer be free.
No, I recently, I have to say, I watched a video, I don't remember where it was, but you were showcasing a certain pen that you received, and maybe you could talk a little bit about that and the role that you played in the passage of this law that would allow you to get one of those few pens that the governor used to sign this new law.
Well, that was truly an honor. I'm still amazed over it. I have worked with legislators throughout the years to try to formulate a step closer to our Constitution and what we refer to as constitutional carry, and that is the right to self-defend. Nobody should spell out who, how, what, where we can defend ourselves. It is our right to self-protect. So through the years, have worked with legislators to try to pass something closer to our Constitution. With the passage of concealed carry, which is what we have now in Wisconsin, I was awarded a pen from the signing of the Act 35, which is a concealed carry law that will become effective November 1st. And it recognized me for all the work that we've done, our group has done, in working with the legislators to try to pass something that we can be closer to our Constitution with.
No, I saw the author of the bill here, and I didn't get a chance to interview her. I'm going to have to call her on the phone. But Pam was here, Pam Galloway, senator from Wausau, and she's been a huge proponent for this as well. And she's actually gone to bat a number of times, surprisingly. She's not the average politician. What kind of relationship have you had with her? And you know, tell me about what she said from the stage today.
Well, Senator Galloway is one of the freshmen that recently elected into office in 2010. And she is actually a voice for the people. She has campaigned on a platform, and she's actually gone to Madison and is doing what she said she would do, and that is represent the people and represent them well. The Second Amendment is one that is pretty close to her heart, and she vows to protect it for us because she understands through history what happens when citizens are disarmed and they can't protect themselves. She spoke today for us, and she's actually urging us to stay vigilant, stay involved, be prepared to come and basically defend her and her fellow legislators that are new freshmen. They are more constitutional driven, and they need backup from the people. We put them there to speak for us, and we now need to be backup for them because they are dealing with other legislators who aren't as constitutionally driven. We know that. We need to get them back right of center and deal with issues that will protect us as citizens. And we need to recognize Pam as being very special to us.
Right. Now, one of the other speakers that we were glad to see was Dan Kapanke, and of course he fell in the recall elections this last couple months, and it was really good to see him out here. But it just is a reminder of the fight that we have ahead of us. From a Tea Party standpoint or a Second Amendment, whatever, you're active in politics. Nobody's afraid to say that. What are your thoughts on the recall elections, and what are you going to tell people they need to do in order to fight against these ridiculous efforts to just boot out people for no good reason other than you don't agree with their politics? What are you telling people?
Well, what I'm telling people is to get active, stay involved. If we lose conservative seats, we will lose rights. We've seen that happen. We've seen the bully mentality, for instance, back in the early spring in Madison. And we watched that with awe and dismay as to how people could even think that way. In order to continue on the path that we are on, which is towards conservatism, towards frugality in the state, towards freedom, we need to keep our governor, lieutenant governor, senators, representatives, we need to keep them seated. We need to plant our feet firmly and hold on for dear life. And then be prepared to get involved in legislation. There is a bill, it will be a constitutional amendment, to change recall processes in this state. We need to get on that. It's going to take 2 consecutive sessions in order for that bill to pass through and then get to the people on a voting ballot. We need to follow that. We need to help push that. We need to get that to where people cannot be recalled just because you're a spoiled child and you don't like what happened. There has to be reasons.
Right. We're facing some of the biggest recall potential coming up here as many of the newly elected members get to their year mark. But the biggest one is the governor, who's really been spearheading this budget debate. Also, he's pro Second Amendment. He's pro fiscal conservatism. What can people do to get involved? I mean, give me some options from the people that are listening to this podcast. What are things that people could do tomorrow to get involved?
Look for a local Tea Party group. Look for a conservative group. Look for the Republican Party in their area. Join. Get involved. Get to know those people. Don't be afraid to roll your sleeves up and get to work. It's going to take every one of us to fight this battle, because truly it is where we're at is socialism. We're at that crucial crossroads, as we've heard lots of people tell us today, our representatives. This is where we need to draw the line in the sand and say, stand your ground.
Well, I just appreciate what you do. I appreciate the fact that when I post something online, you're one of the first to comment. You must have Facebook open all the time, and it's really great to have someone locally or within a reach of a couple hours on this side of the state that is actively involved in politics, actively involved in freedom. And I can't thank you enough for putting this together, especially where it's not too far of a drive for me, where I don't have to drive to Madison to cover it. But thank you, and thank you to your husband and to Wisconsin Carry and all the other great folks that were out here. It was a great event, and hopefully the next one will draw even more people as the elections come. It's November of 2012. I mean, we only have a year left before this battle comes to a head, and we're either going to enter socialism or we're going to really turn heads and let people know that we are just not going to stand for that. Would you agree with that?
I do agree with that. It is time to say enough.
Well, thank you, Annette, for your time, and good luck with the rest of your day. It's beautiful out here. Couldn't have asked for a more beautiful day. Okay, I'm lucky enough to be here with Mr. Ole Olson, and he is a board member on Wisconsin Carry Inc., and you can find that at wisconsincarry.org. I'm going to ask him what's new now in Wisconsin with the new law that's carried. How has that affected your organization, and what's next for your organization? What are you working on currently?
Well, Wisconsin Carry doesn't differentiate between open carry and concealed carry. It's the lawful carry to exercise our God-given right, the Second Amendment. Wisconsin passed a good law, not a perfect law. So right now we have to be vigilant and start chipping away at the infringements that are there with the 4-hour training and some other things. And that said, Wisconsin Carry is going to be offering free training because we believe that it is a violation to be mandated, so people shouldn't have to pay for that to satisfy their requirement. But some of the other things is looking at some of the ordinances that are being passed by, or not necessarily the ordinance passed by local jurisdictions, but the interpretation of public buildings, and give you a classic example of here in Hudson at the government center. The government center houses the jail, houses the courtrooms, and also houses the sheriff's department. Okay, that building also has where I can go pay my taxes, where I can get my driver's license renewed, other government functions. I can't take my business elsewhere with, like I can to a private entity that they disallow us to carry firearms there. I can't take my business elsewhere. So by them posting that building, they're taking on a responsibility of protecting me, which I think is my responsibility. We're working on things like that in all different municipalities. Some it's clear-cut because it's a separate building that's a jail, but the ones that have government centers all under one house, there needs to be some clarity. Also, under some of these municipalities that are putting in ordinances that are unlawful, they have to be challenged. I believe the statute is 660409, where they can't create a law that is any more stringent than the state law. Some of them are doing that, and until it's challenged, it'll be on the books, and we have to get rid of some of those.
Have you seen any of the postings at places like this in a park where I know that there is a big concern? It's a government park or it's a public park or whatever, and they're saying you can't go into any building that is owned by the government, including restrooms, things like that. Has that become a reality in any locations?
Well, the way the statute is written, it has to be posted. So if it isn't posted, but the municipalities do have that option of posting it. And there is some discussion as to what constitutes a building over a structure, if it has sided walls and some other things. So that all has to get played out in courts probably.
Right. So this the free training for people that are interested in getting training, that's something that you're working on currently with Wisconsin Carry. Who are the types of people that are going to be eligible for that?
I don't know if there is an eligibility standard. Obviously the eligibility standard is you have to be able to legally own and possess a firearm, being a non-felon, and meet all the requirements to be able to carry. That's really the only requirements. They can check the website periodically to find out. Right now we're putting our curriculum together. We were waiting for the Department of Justice to get all of the finalized information as to the requirements for training, and they put it together. We've got a 4-hour course right now that we're just fine-tuning and hope to have it out in the near term.
Now, I know you said that you're definitely against mandated training. What are your thoughts on training as far as someone who is newly 21? They don't have a lot of experience with a firearm, but they feel like protecting themselves is important. How would you encourage them, or what would you encourage them to do as far as getting training?
Oh, we're all about training. I'm actually an NRA certified instructor. My wife and I train, but we don't believe it should be mandated. And people will seek out the best training that fits them. And even if you take training from one, I suggest take one from somebody else. You'll pick up something. Constantly be educating yourself, whether it be for firearms or whether it be teach yourself about the Constitution. Constantly got to be learning. The market will find its own equilibrium.
Right. So that's one of the discussions I've had with several people here, is that as people make a big ruckus about training and these people don't want training, that's really not true. I encourage people, yes, get training. There's a lot of responsibilities when you're holding a firearm on your side, and if you, God forbid, have to use that firearm, there's legalities involved in that. And so what I'm hearing you say is, by all means, get as much training as you can. Never stop training. Go to the range, go to classes, things like that. But just don't tell me what I have to do to train myself or to be trained up to your standards. I'll figure that out myself. I'm a responsible adult.
Exactly. I mean, you can't tell somebody that is ex-military, that's handled firearms. I myself am 54 years old. I grew up with firearms. My dad was an instructor in the Navy. I've been shooting for 40-plus years. Do I need the same training as a 21-year-old? No. So, again, like I said, the market will determine what that is. I don't know how better to say it.
Yeah. Well, hey, thanks for your time, and thanks a lot for the opportunity to be at this event. It's always exciting to see people excited about the Constitution, about liberties and freedoms, and coming out and showing support for the Second Amendment. Appreciate your time and your wife's efforts and everything you guys do.
Oh, and thank you for covering it. We don't always get positive media coverage, so yeah, we need that.
It's my pleasure. That's going to wrap up this episode, so thanks for listening to Concealed Wisconsin's podcast. Again, please check out the show notes for this episode at concealedwisconsin.com and visit all the links mentioned to see how you can get more involved. Concealed Wisconsin is a unique online community, and we encourage you to become part of it. Head on over to concealedwisconsin.com to leave us a comment, become a fan on Facebook, or subscribe to us on YouTube. Remember, you can always listen online, download it to your computer, or take us on the go by subscribing on iTunes. Check out all the links at concealedwisconsin.com. Thanks for listening. Now get out there and carry on. Concealed Wisconsin, copyright 2011.